Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 6 of the anime series, Aria the Scarlet AA. And I actually really thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I got a mad kick out of it. Of course, we're starting off with Akari and the girls, celebrating the fact that they successfully won this quartet, even though it was, as I say, holding over from the last episode. The most unimpressive aspect of that episode was the quartet battle itself, and it was kind of WTF here and there, everything, what was going on with it. But this episode, it's just really wacky, and of course, you have those jealousies still yet burgeoning, especially between, like, Kirin, Raika, and Akari, how... Kirin is just obsessed with the fact that Akari and Raika are so closely knit friends and everything like that. And the attraction that exists there between Kirin and Raika is put to the test in this episode. From the get-go. We actually have this hilarious dream sequence that is... I thought it was going to be Kirin's dream sequence, but it was Raika's, actually. In her being afraid that, like, Riko was going to steal Kirin away, being that Riko was her Amica or vice versa, originally. And it's this whole thing where to become official Amicas, the dream sequence has it that they're kind of getting married and everything. And just as they're going in to kiss, that's when this place is completely bombarded by, Riko in this, like, UFO ship and everything. And all these little versions of her or of Kirin, whatever it is, are hopping and going on the attack. And I was laughing my ass off during that whole sequence. And like I say, when you see the reveal that this is Raika's dream, not Kirin's, it's very interesting to me. One of the things about this series I think I'm finding more and more with myself is I've been talking in the episodic, coverage that the character of Fuma has stood out to me as almost being the Reki of this particular series, Reki being my favorite character from the first season of Aria the Scarlet AA. And I think actually Raika is becoming more and more my favorite character in this show. From a couple episodes back where she was being made fun of for being tomboyish and everything, and guys were making fun of her and everything. She can throw down, she's a badass chick, but she also has certain aspects of her personality that she feels almost guilty about, like she needs to keep hidden, and just very... the character's very relatable on so many different levels, even though this is a show that just gets uber wacky and uber crazy and the insanity and everything with the jealousies and all that kind of stuff, as I say. It's just highly intriguing to me. Kirin basically tries to, I guess you could say, like, trick Raika into teaching her CVR alumnus, these other girls, all these really cute kawaii little girls that, of course, she figures will get to Raika's interests and everything like that. And it's just hilarious to me how... And it's also, again, even the Kirin character, even though she has this unnatural obsession with Raika, and all these girls, they have unnatural sort of obsessions with each other and jealousies and everything like that. I don't think in any way it actually shows into the mind's eye of how girls really feel in the real world, in school environments, everything like that. But what I find very interesting and sort of hilarious is the lengths to which Kirin will go. And she's very much, because of that sort of, yandere aspect, like when Raika is talking about, well, Kirin wants me to train her as well as a group of friends, I really don't want to do it. It takes Akari, impressing upon Raika, why don't you do it? And, and then when Kirin finds this out, she still feels a sense of defeat. I think that's one of the aspects that, even amongst all the craziness of this episode, gets to the heart of, sort of human nature. That even, if we get what we want, if it, doesn't feel like we have a sense of accomplishment in ourselves in doing a thing, if something is handed to us, even though we want it and we were striving for it, if we don't feel like we accomplished something, we were part of that equation, it's tantamount to almost being pointless, and that's very much how Kirin is brought to that point. She's just like, oh, so it took Akari's, like, I ask you and you don't want to train my friends and I, but Akari says, hey, it's a good idea, and you'll do what she wants, so there's still that level of jealousy and all that kind of stuff. And the way they just over the top like lay in Taika and her interest in these, you know, kawaii little dolls and everything, these little gothic Lolita-esque everything with the desserts all over the room, this very posh room and everything like that. It gets utmost insane, but it's like I'm just grinning the whole time for some reason. Like, usually I don't get into stuff like this, but I was finding it absolutely hilarious. Because then the other leg drops, you know, as sort of into Raika's plight that you are, you know, her reluctance and her thoughts about why is Kitten getting so close, being nervous about that and everything like that, the dynamic between she and Akari, the dynamics between like Akari and, you know, Aria herself. Aria, we see, has given in the last episode, or last two episodes, whatever it was, Akari a good luck charm. And like we have Kinji cameoing, and we find out it's a safe childbirth charm. When Akari's getting all jealous of that, you know, you see that Raika's taking notice of that. Is it that she's, you know, concerned for her friend? Maybe she's finding something a little bit too relatable to the dynamic between the way her friend is reacting to these other two people, her own idol and everything like that. It's just all different kinds of complicated, but it's all stuff that really affects people. You know, the human nature of people. In the end, they just get all kinds of like uber seductive Taika and pin her down, tickling her, you know, rubbing up against her, all this kind of stuff, threatening at this point to kiss her and everything. And what it all involves is the CVR's manifesto. You know, very much was that dream proven by the end of this episode of, you know, the Amica agreement being sort of like being wedded. It was almost a premonition by the time this episode ends, because the manifesto is essentially, you know, they're only gonna leave Raika alone if she confesses her love and that she and Kirin are brides, are to be considered from then on brides, to be wedded. So, of course, she goes along with it, and by the end of the episode, she doesn't want to talk about it. I thought it was absolutely hilarious when they're bum rushed as they're walking to school or home from school, whatever it is, the next day, and Kirin comes running up all excited, and you Raika tossing her over onto a tugboat and like throwing a like knife at the phone when she's trying to play back the confession and all this kind of stuff. It got really hilarious and really funny, and I actually really enjoyed this episode. Like, usually when they get into these overly yandere obsessive aspects of these characters, it kind of tests my tolerance a little bit. I don't get too much into that. But this time out, it was very much more played for laughs. And I think the most underlying interesting aspect, too, is that we had Aria talking to Fuma once again. And this time, I had wondered if they were going to even bring up this sort of supernatural electricity power that Akari, you know, displayed in the last episode during the quartet battle. And to my surprise, I didn't expect that they would, but to my surprise, they did. Only there's no growth on it. You know, Aria's talking about, basically to Fuma, did you see? And, you know, Fuma was off fighting Raika at that point. So, of course, she didn't see it. Nobody else seems to have seen it. I don't know. But it's definitely got Aria's interest up as to what's up with Akari. And I'm going to be interested to see if this is sort of a hint at that, you know, culmination aspect, cumulative aspect of them going head to head, as was prefaced in, you know, sort of the flash forward in the first episode. So, love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 6 of Aria the Scarlet AA, if you've seen it, if you enjoyed it, got a kick out of it as much as I did. It made me laugh the most, I think, that I have watching this series thus far, and was very much less, you know, sort of grating or annoying with the yandere aspects and everything like that. So, yeah, love to hear from you. That'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.